Hello, Tenacious Women. Jewel, I want to thank you for inviting me. When she told me the conference was called Tenacious Women, I said, absolutely, I want to be associated with that word. Yes, definitely. So thank you for asking me. Today, I'm really not going to talk about PR and how to do it. I'm going to talk to you about how I have survived not one, not two, but 3 recessions as a business owner. And now, when I look back on those days, I'm really grateful that I experienced those hard times, because after it was all said and done, I said I felt like I got my PhD in business from all those hard times. So the story, my story starts in 1981, well, 1989. Who was around during that recession? All right. I was living up in, I was a military officer's wife, and we were living in Germany. And I got a call about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was my father calling from the States. And there was like a 10-second delay. I knew something was going on. And Daddy calls and he says, Marjorie, can I borrow $10,000? And there was a very long pause. And I said, what's up, Daddy? Well, let me back up. In 1960, that was the year that my father and my mother started Carriage Trade Publishing. It was, they published magazines and up in the Washington, D.C. area. Well, my mother had died in 1986, and then 1989, the business started to collapse with the recession. And so Daddy's asking me to borrow $10,000. I was like, what's up with the business? He said, not so good. We owe about $500,000 in payroll tax, and I mean, they had gotten into some serious, serious trouble. I said, well, Daddy, my husband was getting ready to deploy to the first Gulf War, and I said, why don't I just come home? He's going to be gone an entire year. I'm going to pack up my daughter, she's 3 years old, my 2 cats, and I'm going to come back to the States and live there. And I'll help you. Now, I had never really worked in his business. I grew up around it. I never got a paycheck. I remember being in 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, missing class to go in and help collate. They don't even collate anymore, but collate the magazines. I would actually miss class. And so I always grew up working, but really didn't have any responsibility of running the business. But I can tell you, the whole time that I was a little girl, my eyes were wide open, going, that might not be such a good idea. It was almost like I had a 6th sense on running a business. So anyhow, I landed at Washington National, which is now Reagan, and Daddy picked me up, and we talked the entire hour going back to the house, and it was a lot worse than I thought. He was getting ready to sell our family home, our beautiful, beautiful family home, to try and raise cash for all the people that he owed money to. He had lost his health care, and at that point he was like in his 60s, and was diagnosed with lung cancer. I mean, it was just like a terrible nightmare. And forget the fact that my husband at the time was going off to war, and So anyhow, I moved in, and we all crammed in a little place, because he did have to sell the house, and we moved into this little apartment. And I would drive down to Daddy's business at night, and it was in a kind of like a warehouse area, because it's printing and publishing. And there was this great big plate glass window, and I had all these bills spread out on the floor, and it was about 11:30 at night. And it was scary down there, but I was even more scared, because I'm sitting here looking at about $500,000 worth of bills that we owed people money. And I just started to cry. I said, God, you've got to help me. I can't do this. I cannot do this. So, I mean, my conclusion was we need to declare bankruptcy. And Daddy said, no. I owe these people money. We are not going to declare bankruptcy. I said, yeah, but You know, they were billing like $75,000 a month, and it had gone down to $3. I mean, they should have gone bankrupt. I mean, there was no marketing plan. It was chaos. So anyhow, we actually went to a bankruptcy attorney, and we sat there in this very elegant waiting room. It was a Victorian couch. I can still see it, and I was holding my dad's hand because he was so upset. And this round man came out, you know, typical, you know, balding attorney. We sat down with him, and he said, "Sure, you can go bankrupt, but you still owe those back payroll taxes." Well, my dad was in his 60s. How are we going to make money otherwise? He was really not employable at that point. He was very sick. So I just looked at my dad and I said, "Daddy, we got to make this work. We got to market this company." And we thanked the attorney, and we got up and we left. And I said, "That's my first answer. We've got to figure out what is the most profitable thing that we're printing. Is it pamphlets? Is it business cards? What is it? Who's the most profitable customer?" So what was happening was that there were a bunch of, when you're a printer, you get all sorts of printing jobs that come in, but it was being a lot of like housewives would come in and they'd be planning a wedding. They would take up 2 hours trying to decide if it was going to be that blue or that blue. So we backed up, and they told me that associations were the types of clients they wanted to deal with. Number one, they had the money. And number two, they did the types of printing that my family could do the best, you know, long runs of letterhead and business cards and envelopes. So we said, okay. Next thing we did was come up with a tagline. Printers for Association. 3 words that were repeatable in the community. That's before keywords. But those little things started to change the business around, just knowing exactly who we were going after. Now, mind you, we were still only making $3,000 a month, and all the creditors, every single phone call, "We owe, you know, you owe us money, you owe us money." That's when I discovered Consumer Credit Counseling Service. And there's a lot of agencies out there, and they all do wonderful work, but they showed me how to build a budget, and we listed every single person that we owed money to, and it was about 223 of them. And I got on the phone with every single one of them and said, "I know we owe you $5,000, but can you take $25 a month?" And they all said yes, because if they didn't say yes, we would have had to declare bankruptcy. So we've got the money side going on here. On the other side, I had to start marketing. So one of the first things we did was I said, well, I went to the University of Maryland. I got a degree in journalism and a minor in fine arts. And I remember my teacher was talking about the power of public relations. I said, well, now's a good time to prove it. So I wrote my very first press release. And this is this precious press release. I mean, they do not look like this today, okay? I promise you. This is the first press release. And my daddy signs it. At the bottom it says, "Best wishes." It's so sweet. Anyhow, I sent it into the media. I sent it into the Washington Times. And guess what? They called. I was like, oh my God. They said, "We'll come out and talk to you. We want to hear about your company turning 30 years old." What I didn't tell them is that we were on the verge of bankruptcy, that we had about 3 clients left. They said, "We'd like to speak to some of your clients." I said, okay. So I called up the 2, and they said, "Oh, we'll be happy to talk to them." And they gave us wonderful reviews, because yes, we still had very good customer service, and we did a very good product. So anyhow, about a week later, on the front page of Money was this wonderful picture. Now, the newspaper's that big. I mean, this is a big article. It's kind of like your article that just came out. This is what started my career in PR. I went, oh my gosh, this is powerful. What we did with this article was we sent it to a list of 20 associations we wanted to do business with. I stalked them, okay? I stalked them. Sent the article, did a little mail campaign. I sent them a little postcard every single week. And the last one was, don't laugh, a little punch-out Rolodex card, remember them? And with a letter saying, I'm going to come and visit you and find out, you know, if we would like to work with you. We got every single one of those clients. And the business started to turn around. In the meantime, Mr. Washington from the IRS is knocking at our door saying, we need $5,000 a month. And I said, we don't have it, but we do have $300 a month. He said, oh yeah? I said, I'm going to figure out, this is when I fell in love with spreadsheets. I said, I'm going to guesstimate how much we can do in sales every month. I'm hoping it's going to go up, and how much we'll start to pay. We'll start at $300 and work our way up to $5,000 a month, because we owed them so much money. And do you know, they said okay. So that was a huge lesson for me, that everything is negotiable. I mean, we negotiated with the IRS. He said, if you miss one payment, we are closing you down. Don't worry. Don't worry. So anyhow, matter of fact, we started paying in 1993. It was the early 90s. And when we got stationed back, we're down here in Georgia, the very first month that we were here was the very last payment that we owed the IRS, and they were completely paid off. And it was wonderful, because people can go to jail for that. I mean, you know, you've got to pay your payroll taxes. But some of the other things that I learned just in that business, I said, man, if I ever start my own business, I don't want all this overhead. I don't want employees. I want to have contract workers, because the employees that we had, it was very hard to let go of them at the time, and it was very, very costly, because we didn't make good hires to start with. I mean, all these things I know now. I mean, employees are a very scary liability if you don't know what you're doing. Very scary, yeah. So anyhow, that was my other big lesson, is that I'm going to subcontract out everything legally, and it has been a good choice for me. I've been doing it this way 16 years. Maybe when I grow up and become a real business, maybe if I get enough guts, I'll get employees. But for right now, I know what my tolerance level is, and I'm not there yet. So anyhow, it's kind of an embarrassing story to tell, because it was such a challenge, and it was such an emotional roller coaster, because we were, I mean, not only, you know, my father getting lung cancer and losing his health insurance, and trying to pay for everything, but I've learned the power of a budget and sticking to it. So all these wonderful things I have now incorporated into my business. Another tactic that we used was bartering, because when you don't have any money, everybody needs printing. Everybody back then needed business cards. I actually went out into the community and talked with people. You know, I wasn't shy about asking them questions, and they'd say, well, and I said, to thank them, I said, do you want some business cards or something? And yeah, so we bartered a lot in the beginning, and it really helped propel the business. But besides that, I learned a lot. Don't be afraid to go out and ask for help. One of the best pieces of advice quickly was that you need to be on a payroll service, because small businesses, that's where they get into trouble most of the times, is not paying their payroll taxes. So I got on ADT, and that looks really good. Mr. Washington from the IRS really liked that. So today, I mean, it's just me on the payroll, and I have a payroll service to keep it legal and to keep all the accounting straight. So I think there were a lot of lessons learned. Then there was the 2001 recession, and I was ready for it. I can tell you I have always been very conservative with my spending. So when 2001 came, you know, in marketing, we're the first to go. I mean, the first to go. So my clients went from there to here, and it was okay. Because life is cyclical. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen again even after this recession. And you have to prepare for it, you have to save for it, and you have to use this time constructively. This recession, I was grateful because we were on NASA speed. I mean, there was so much going on that when it finally started to slow down, I could step back, reassess my company, see what changes that we needed to do differently. So I looked at it as a blessing, and spent a lot of time reading, learning more about social media, and spending time to position myself even stronger in the community with PR. Got out and doing a lot of speaking engagements. Thank you, Jewel. So, and that's something I learned with my daddy's company. You know, every single person in here can position themselves as the authority. And that's what we did with printing many years ago. I got out there and started speaking about printing and how to buy printing and how to do this, how to do that. Positioning yourself as the authority creates media, gets you in the paper. And when people have a question about, you know, let's say if you're a CPA and you've given a lecture, they're like, oh, that guy knows what he's talking about. We'll go hire him. So I actually have a handout here of all these different things I've learned. And I just want to make sure, since I don't ever write speeches, that I've covered everything. Oh yeah, here's another one that a business coach gave me. The power of, who's read the book Think and Grow Rich? I love that book. Matter of fact, I was going to go buy it at Walden's and give it out today, but Walden's isn't here anymore. But Think and Grow Rich, there's a lot of truth to that book. And at first I was like, what? That's weird. But if you surround yourself with very positive people, well, let me back up. My brothers, I mean, it was so bad when my dad's business was going under. I said, guys, people don't want to be around this negative energy. They don't want to hear it. So when the next time somebody says, how's business? Great. I said, let's practice. How's business?
Great.
Great. No, it's great. It is unbelievable. I am so grateful to be here doing business.
The unbelievable is not a lie.
Yeah, it's not a... I made my family, I took this great big white sheet of paper, and we took printer's ink, and I said, okay, everybody put your handprint on here as a contract. We are all going to just stay positive. And I'm the big sister, so I could be that bossy with my two younger brothers. But you know what? Just that psychology really helped start to turn it around. And I would be I thought I heard something negative. I mean, you can't afford the luxury of a negative thought during the recession. And another thing I found out is stop listening to the news. Stop listening to negative stuff. Create your own reality. And it really does make a difference, because what you think is what you get. And I started writing affirmations. Matter of fact, when I started my business 16 years ago, I put up all these positive affirmations in my car and in my bathroom, and now they're all on my BlackBerry, and I read them every day. Call them affirmations, call them prayers. I call them, they work. They really, really work. It's the power of focus, the power of knowing where you're going. And that's the biggest problem I see with small business owners. I love it when they go, I say, so what kind of business are you in? And they go, well, we do a lot of things. I was like, uh-oh. Who is going to be able to repeat that in the community? You need a tagline that people can repeat. And none of this quality, service. I was like, no, that's not what people repeat in the community. They're printers for associations. That's repeatable. Something that is very understandable and repeatable. And if people can, especially small business owners, can remember that, that's another, gosh, and I wasn't going to be talking about marketing, but
You're doing great.
but you know, that it's really true. I mean, and I had to learn that during the recession. I mean, because money is so tight during the recession that you have got to pull all strings to go forward. So that visualization, that book, matter of fact, I feed myself every morning. I have about 4 books that I read, and it's just like gasoline for a car. It's just good energy for me, and I'm really selective on people that I hang around with, because it really means that much to me to have that kind of positiveness. My house is very much how I want it. It has lots of bright colors because it brings me energy. It might not bring other people energy, but I just see beauty throughout my whole house. It's not, you know, if there's something that needs fixing, I get it fixed right away, because otherwise it's bringing negative energy in. And I really do believe life is about energy. Everything is about energy. Money is about energy, the exchange of energy. That's another thing I had to learn. Don't be afraid of money. Learn to love it. Read every book on it. I read a really good book when I first started called Earn What You Deserve. And women especially, it's not right and it's not fair, but we have got to be much more forward about it. You know, I'll go up to somebody, and with clients, one of the first things I do is talk about money, because they know you're serious. And what I do is, you know, people have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. They just think, oh, you know, quick press release. They have, I mean, there's 100 steps behind what goes on. And everybody has a great cause. And believe me, if I used to be married to a doctor, I would be doing it, I would be volunteering. I could do it, but I can't now. I mean, I've got to pay the mortgage. I've been single for 15, 16, almost 17 years. But I have a very good relationship with money now. And I love money. I love it. And yeah. And embrace it. And I even do things like, this is about energy again. In my wallet, I keep a $100 bill there because it's the law of attraction. It attracts money. I keep that there as a reminder. I wasn't going to go this nitty gritty, but why not? Yeah. There's a lot of little funky things that I do, but you know, and being a soulpreneur, whatever they call it, I do have an advisory board, but my books have been my energy and where I learn a lot from. And of course, I have to give a plug to the Entrepreneurial Center. And you know, Savannah was in the top 10 places to start a business, according to Inc. magazine. I mean, we have really a phenomenal business community here. There's so much free help, and I've used it, believe me. And, you know, even though I've been in business 17 years, I'm always learning something new every day. I always have a book with me. I'm always reading. Ron Higgins and I read together all the time. You know, another thing we started is an advisory board where I have asked 6 women, and we meet every month, and we talk about business problems. And it's not about boyfriends, and it's not about husbands, and it's not about kids. It's about business. And we're there for 1 hour. And let's say April would say, okay, I've got this problem with a 1099. How would you solve it? And we would each answer it. And they're just brilliant roundtables. I have learned so much from doing that. So what else haven't I covered? About cutting costs. I am the queen of cut. I have, when Daddy's business was so down, I love profit and loss statements now. I mean, I really do. Learn to love to read them and look at them, because there are so many ways to cut costs. And now with the recession coming out, I'm not sure if I even want to go back. I even cut my home phone. I do not have a landline anymore. I don't need it. That's more money, the Dave Ramsey, that's more money to put into my savings to create my wealth and my retirement. So it's about how much money you can save and not spend. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Be nice to your vendors. Yeah, be nice to your vendors. Because during a recession, everybody's hurting. And I know with Daddy's company, we were very late with the paper thing, but we would always bring them a box of cupcakes or something, and they'd let us slide a little bit more than normal. But also what I found is that you can do them a favor too. I mean, it's not a bartering thing, but it's just a time where everybody's hurting, and it really pays off to be nice and to give an extra press release or do an extra 500 on the press for business cards or something, because it will come back, you know. I'm not going to say karma, but yeah, it is, you know. This is something I want you all to do. I had a business coach one time that said, pick out your favorite successful business owner and study that person, and then act like you're that person for one day. I mean, it's a really, really interesting thing to do, because you realize when you start studying that person how much power they do have and how much knowledge they have and what kind of attributes and values they have. So I actually print it off, and I want you to take one and pass it out. And I challenge you to read up on these women. They are the presidents of different countries. There are a lot more women presidents than I thought in this world. And the presidents of the top Fortune 500 CEOs. There were only 15. Am I running out of time?
No, I was going
to.
We got 5 minutes left.
But that was a very interesting thing. It's also there to challenge you to think bigger. These women are running countries, and we all need to think bigger. There's a big world besides Savannah, Georgia here. So, who did you all get? I'd never heard of any of these women at all. Who did you get? Who's she with? Xerox.
She is awesome.
You know her? You met her?
Yeah. Is she the one that's real kind of in your face, kind of says what she means? Who is that?
I don't know, but I can tell you, guess.
Her? There's one of those female CEOs, and she is a bulldog.
Guess who's moving to Savannah? Celia Dunn Sotheby's sold the CEO of the limited Victoria's Secret Bath, Bed & Beyond. She's moving to Savannah. Yeah. That says a lot about Savannah.
This is the one I was talking about. This is her.
You got her?
Hero
Who's she
Lawrence
with?
from Yahoo. She is bulldog.
Really?
All she knows is, in order to keep her people employed, Yahoo's got to make money,
Yeah.
and she doesn't care what you think about her making money, and she doesn't care what you think about the way she does it.
Yeah.
She's running a business, and if you don't want her to run it, then find somebody else. And until then, she's got it. Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
She is a
Bulldog.
amazing.
Yeah, and you know, if you look at these character attributes and their list of values, which, by the way, who's ever taken a value assessment test? They have them online free. Just Google it. but you write, you click on which things are the most important things for you in your life. My top thing is freedom. You know, I don't want an office that's sitting there and I have to, I could never be a restaurant owner, or, you know, I want my freedom, which also explains why I'm not married, but, but at least I know that. At least I know that.
Amen.
You don't either. Anyhow. Huh? It's called a value assessment test, and it's very, and you know, if you haven't done the Myers-Briggs test, do that one too. I mean, it hit me right on the head. It's very powerful. Self-knowledge is very, very powerful. Yeah, exactly. You know, anything you can do to learn to become a better businesswoman, to become a better person, you know, keep reading. My new favorite love is YouTube. No matter what I need to learn, it's all on YouTube. I mean, it is, we're so grateful to have that meeting here, and I think I'm running out of time. Yeah. Did I talk that long?
Yes, it's too high, but it's good.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, it is.
Do y'all have questions? Yeah, there's the last, there. Which ones did I miss?
You only gave one on each table.
Yeah, I didn't.
I'll get some copies made. Thank you.
Did I miss any of those things that I?
Marjorie, your daughter.
Oh, my daughter. My daughter.
Tell
Okay.
me what your daughter does.
All right. My daughter. I was just talking to them about. I don't know where she came from. She is this super math girl, and she got a full ride to Rensselaer Polytech to study aeronautical engineering and mechanical with a minor in Japanese. So. So she graduated last May, and she got hired at General Dynamics to work on the nuclear subs before she even graduated. And I am very proud of her. And so who was just asking me about her?
You said she is really a rocket scientist.
But I said, no, what I'm really proud about is that she's learning to cook. she's calling me saying, how do you make chicken? And how do you, I mean, this is a kid that would just be like, kitchen. No, yeah. I was like, God, I totally failed to domesticize her. So, but no, she's learning to cook, and she's paying her bills, and she's saving money, and she's going to go back and do a robotics master's, hopefully at Georgia Tech. And I am very proud of her, but I swear I still don't know where she came from. That will be a book one day. Yeah. And I actually am writing a book. It's on community PR, which is my favorite way for every business owner. I think everybody has a story. Everybody needs to tell it. It positions you as the authority. So I'm putting it out there. September 9th is my birthday. I'll have it done by then. So hold me accountable. So anyhow, thank you. I appreciate it.